Let's get this going. Hello, everyone. I am joined with Marcy Little, who is the manager over our content team at Choose Life Marketing. She is a marketing whiz and a whiz when it comes to anything in the pro-life movement. She is so knowledgeable, and I know that she's going to bring some really great insight into our conversation today. This conversation is really important and timely, and something that we really want to help equip our centers with, just this knowledge, because it's so pressing for us to get this right. And so we're hoping to come alongside all of you to help talk about how to combat against this accessible abortion pill that can now be ordered online. But first, I think we should pray. We should just pray and ask the Lord for him to come in and help us with this, because we really need his strategy over any strategy that man could come up with. So, Father, thank you so much just for this opportunity to talk about ideas that further your cause and your purpose and your will. Lord, we love you and we love your heart. We love that you are so passionate about life, about the sanctity of life, and about the well-being of all women throughout this earth. God, we want to partner with you. We want to walk in your step. We want to know your way. We want to receive your strategy. We believe, God, that your way is higher than any other way of humanity. And so we submit our will to yours. We ask you that you would just instill great ideas, God ideas, to help us further our mission to save lives and to empower women. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so I think we should dive in. Let's see if I can get this little PowerPoint going. Okay, Marcy, can we see the full screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So let's dive in. So first, we're going to kind of just talk about the general overall view of, how Generation Z, how our target demographic views online shopping. So there's three primary benefits. And as you could probably imagine, Generation Z does love online shopping because it's anonymous, it's convenient, and it's fast. It's so easy just to hop on your phone or your laptop and order something that you need or that you want. And so people really just expect this online outlet to be their primary outlet for buying anything, whether it's clothes. Even now, with Amazon growing, you can buy groceries on Amazon. You can have the groceries delivered to your front door. And so we're very quickly moving into this age where everything can be purchased online. And so when it comes to medications as well, the assumption is that any medication that you're able to order online through Amazon or any other shopping website, it's going to be safe. And Generation Z assumes that because that's just what they have been surrounded by. But now with this, with the abortion pill being available online, we see that many Gen Zers will also believe that this abortion pill is safe. They believe that, if this is able to be transacted upon online, then there should be this level of credibility with buying and consuming this product. So, Marcy, could you just give us a little overview of what centers need to understand about this?
Yeah, because online shopping is such a new and growing phenomenon, like just said, you can order basically anything online these days. We really want to dive in and help you all understand the mindset and the habits of women who shop online, specifically those Gen Z, younger millennial women who are in your target demographic, so that you have a better framework for understanding the online strategies that you can use to reach them, especially as they are thinking about ordering the abortion pill, or even more dangerously, not even thinking about it. They see that it's available and they don't give it a second thought. Then we'll talk about how abortion providers are taking advantage of women who shop online with some deceptive marketing techniques in the same way that they use those techniques for other services. And then, of course, how you can reach those women first. So that's where we'll be going today. Let's jump in and just go over a few things you need to know about women who shop online. Like Jess was mentioning earlier, it's something that that they don't even think about. It's become a habit. So anytime they need to make a purchase about anything, not just medications or the abortion pill, a lot of times people go online first, especially after our year plus of staying at home and staying safe. It's just second nature now. And we don't see that trend changing because of things Jess was mentioning earlier. It's convenient. If you're maybe a little embarrassed about your purchase, it's anonymous. You just don't have to think about it. Yes, the slides will be available after the webinar. I just saw that question come through. All right, so the other thing about habit that we all know, once we get into a habit of something, it's hard to break that habit. And especially as we are entering into the world of telehealth, it's going to be really hard to convince women to break that habit, especially if they're feeling vulnerable. It's just going to be hard to go back. So that's the first thing you need to know. It's a habit. The second thing you need to know about women who shop online is that they are influenced by marketing. How many of us have given into, we know that we're seeing an ad, we know it's an ad, but we click on it and take it, like go to the page and give whoever did the ad all our money for the product that they are selling. So we're all influenced by marketing. We're especially influenced by marketing when we feel vulnerable in times of emotional insecurity or when a big decision is in front of us. We're more susceptible to marketing tactics then. The same thing is true about women in your target demographic. So in that place, a precisely timed advertisement shown to a woman facing a crisis, unplanned pregnancy, can change her purchase decision. The flip side of this is that your precisely timed marketing messages can change her decision as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about how you guys can do that later in the presentation. All right, the third thing you need to know, and this is so huge, I cannot emphasize this enough, but word of mouth is everything. For millennials, for Gen Z, we don't make any purchases until we've read reviews or until we've asked our friends about it. We're highly influenced by influencer marketing. So people on Instagram telling us about the products they use, people on TikTok talking about their abortion experience, or even Facebook ads and people on Facebook talking about, their experience with the abortion pill or whatever our purchase decision is. This is because it's considered more trustworthy than traditional advertising, even if that's not true. Even if, we may not know the person we're watching, but because it's coming from someone's personal experience with it, we're just more, at least millennials and Gen Z are more likely to pay attention to that and take that into consideration. When we all know Planned Parenthood relies on celebrity and consumer endorsements to sell their product. And if you're thinking, well, we don't have celebrities on our side, just hold tight. We've got some good news for you later on in the presentation when we talk about word of mouth and how you can generate reviews that help women in your area. And then finally, the last thing you need to know about women who shop online, packaging appeal is real. And I know your mind may immediately go to, well, we're not like selling a physical package or physical service in like a traditional way. But women do make their decision to purchase one product over another. That's largely influenced by the appeal of the packaging. And in this case, you can think of packaging as the website that women are visiting or the marketing that got them to that website. If that website looks outdated, women are probably going to go somewhere else for their information or for their product. If the advertising and marketing isn't tailored to appeal specifically to them, if it doesn't speak to their needs and what they have going on, then it's not going to speak to them. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about how you can respond to these things, but it's worth taking some time to look at your own website, where women are going, not to purchase a product, but to get information, and just make sure that it's user friendly. And we'll show you some examples of what the abortion pill websites look like a little bit later, so you can kind of see what we're up against.
Yes, and so speaking of that, this kind of was catalyzed by the pandemic. And so at the height of the pandemic, a federal judge lifted the restrictions to abortion pill access, allowing women to purchase the abortion pill online. I'm pretty sure this judge was in Maryland, and obviously this was, for the pro-choice movement, they considered it to be, groundbreaking and a great thing for them. Obviously, we see that now there's many true dangers that present itself to women to having this kind of access. And so this year, President Biden also continued this push just to make Plan C more readily available all over the United States. And so access is widening, it's deepening, and we need to be not only aware, we need to be equipped of, how are we going to combat this by posing the real, true, honest risks that this presents. So a little bit about these websites that are offering the abortion pill. This is actually this little thing here. This is a screenshot of part of an abortion pill website. So some things that they're saying that are actually lies are that it's safer than Tylenol. Obviously, we know the abortion pill is not at all safer than Tylenol. It's pretty unbelievable that blatant lies are just placed on these sites. And truthfully, I want to talk a little bit about that. The fact that we are seeing, just flat out lies on these sites, I think that's probably going to come back and kind of haunt some of these websites because of the nature of Generation Z. Generation Z, because they've grown up in this digital age with screens all around them, information just always running after them. It's inescapable, the amount of information and advertising that they're consuming. These lies kind of become easy to detect for people like me. I'm a part of Generation Z, so it's almost like an eyesore. Like if I see those words, safer than Tylenol, my brain starts to think, even just trying to think unbiased, and if I was a person that didn't have a position on abortion, I'm thinking, there's no way that's true. Like, and so I think that these tactics that they're trying to do to make this abortion pill seem too good to be true, I think that's going to come back and bite them, and I hope it does. So the abortion pill is now available without a clinic visit, and it's available by mail in just a few days. And so these lies are not limited to just one site. They're obviously widespread across the pro-choice movement and those that are trying to push these pills out for profit. Next, we're kind of going to look into a little bit of what Marcy was talking about earlier, and just talking about the packaging of these abortion pills in their websites, in their marketing, and what they're doing on their sites to make their product seem more appealing. And so, frankly, if you just look at this little screenshot here of an abortion pill website, this is a highly attractive graphic for Generation Z. It's very clean. It's super easy to navigate. There's not a lot of information that a brain would need to process to see what's going on here. The button is easy to find. Websites like this are truly effective. I mean, and it speaks to what we're going up against, knowing that the other side, their websites and their marketing are truly they're top notch. They're great websites, and it's unfortunate that it is like that. We really need to be on our game with our marketing. We have to be on our game with how we build our websites to make sure that everything is branded to to the eye of Gen Z, branded to be attractive and be something that Gen Z wants to dig into. And so we see that with these abortion pill sites. A few things that Generation Z looks for in their marketing is just clean, easy, simple words, buttons, graphics, and things like that. Stock photos are a big no-no in my world, just because it goes back to the Generation Z finding the fake. There's so many stock photography, sites that will just have photos that are so staged almost that someone in Generation Z just feels as if, oh, like that's not a real person, like that experience that's captured in that photograph isn't real, and so I can't connect with them. They're looking to connect, they're looking for relatability, and so it's really important that that's instilled throughout your sites. And then lastly, just talking a little bit more about the branding and the easier access to the abortion pill. And so with a click of a button, you can get, they say it's getting treatment. That wording is very strategic, but with a click of a button, you can have the abortion pill delivered to you. And you can also chat with a doctor within 24 hours, talking about basically like a telehealth visit, talking about the abortion procedure. And so, like Marcy was saying earlier, this provides an extra layer of anonymity so that they don't have to necessarily show their face at an abortion clinic or any clinic for this purpose. And then this is really important. And so this is what we're going up against, is kind of a shift from abortion providers trying to position themselves in the market to be more like retailers. And this positioning is very strategic, and it's really meant for people or organizations like Planned Parenthood or other abortion clinics to build specifically long-lasting relationships with their clients. They want to build relationships that basically lure in shoppers, make them stay in the store longer, influence their buying decisions, and turn them into return customers. They want this process, frankly, to be cyclical. They want to see the same people multiple times, and oftentimes this is, for profit. This is for their own gain. And so the way that they're setting up their websites, the way that they're setting up their experiences are now looking and resembling more of a retailer rather than a health clinic. And then Marcy, can you talk a little bit about how we can reach women first?
Yes. So now that we've shared all of this sobering information about the habits and mindsets of women, and also what the abortion industry is doing to reach them, and also keep them as lifelong customers, and just their deceptive tactics, we want to shift to how can you guys reach women first? This is something we're always wanting y'all to be able to do, but specifically when it comes to ordering the abortion pill online. This happens so early in women's pregnancies that a lot of people just worry, do we have time to reach her before she makes this purchase? So we want to talk through a few strategies y'all can employ. The first is offering online services. Then we'll look at utilizing smart marketing strategies, and then specifically strategies to speak to Gen Z, kind of going off of some of what Jess was sharing a little bit earlier. So let's jump into the online services. Some pregnancy centers last year shifted towards offering telehealth appointments. This is really important because a lot of websites will kind of provide how-to guides on women being able to calculate how far along they are into their pregnancy. If you're able to offer something like that as well, that will be really appealing, but also just offering the telehealth consultation services and appointments will be really beneficial, because even though, again, women are going to want to hit that purchase button right away as the fastest solution to their problem, their perceived problem, they do want to hear from other people. They want to be smart about the purchases and the decisions that they're making. So they will take the time to hear someone out, without having to leave their home. There are still parts of the country, I'm sure many of you are in those parts of the country, that are still hesitant. I know California just started opening back up this week. So there's still a lot of hesitancy there. If you are a smaller center, you may be thinking like, how in the world am I going to do this? It's just me and one or two staff members. There are things you can do, like offering to have a nurse manager speak with clients before they come in. So just chatting on the phone, getting some general information, answering a few questions that the clients may have or potential clients may have. What this does is it'll build trust so that women will again have that pause to think like, maybe I do need to go in and have an actual appointment if you're not able to offer those telehealth appointments. And we also know you're not able to offer everything via telehealth, right? You can't offer your pregnancy testing service, you can't offer your ultrasound services, but this is a way to get your foot into the door of her heart and her mind as she's considering what her different options are and if she really should purchase the pill online. So those are some things you can do there. You can also utilize smart marketing strategies. So one of the best and first things you can invest in for your marketing is just making sure your website is up to date. This is especially true for Gen Z and millennials, but I think all of us can relate to slow website load times. We don't like that. We're not going to sit around and wait for a page to load. I was reading a study the other day and it's between 2 and 5 seconds, and 5 seconds is on the generous end that people will wait around for something to load. The 5-second mark is closer, like if there's just like an image still waiting to be loaded. But the point is you want to attract them to your center very quickly by making sure your website's up to date. We actually recommend updating your website and just the whole look and feel of it every 3 years, just to make sure that you're the most current, you're the most relevant for that younger generation that you're trying to reach. Another best practice that we highly, highly recommend is having separate websites for your donors and clients. And this really makes sense when you think about you do have two very different messages that you're communicating to both of those audiences. So if you think about marketing and being very targeted in your approach to who you're trying to reach, you do have different audiences and different messages, and two websites allows you to do that in a way that is particularly really important when we're talking about abortion vulnerable women. You're going to use different language with them than you use with your donors. Especially when it comes to things like the abortion pill. Like you may send out an email to your supporters letting them know, hey, this is the new reality we're up against. The abortion pill is available online. It's becoming more and more available. We would love your prayers and your support as we counteract this. You would never want your clients to see that kind of message. And so it's just great to have two separate sites to keep those messages in different places. And it again allows you to speak to your clients in ways that your donors may not, they're not in that mindset. So they may not understand the fear and the vulnerability that women are feeling. And you can speak to them directly, especially with information about side effects and risks related to the abortion pill. Another thing that we recommend, again, I mentioned making sure you have the correct generation in mind when you're designing your website. But if you have Gen Z or millennial volunteers on your staff, ask them honestly what they think about your website and what recommendations they would offer or what things they would say, hey, we probably should change this. And if this is something maybe you don't have access to a lot of Gen Z or millennial volunteers, we're happy to do this as well. We offer marketing or website audits and would love to help you kind of look at your overall approach and your messages on your website, specifically with that woman in mind who is looking to make that abortion pill purchase online. Other smart marketing strategies you can utilize are to invest in virtual geofencing. So this is something Google has rolled out recently. So you have probably heard us talk about traditional geofencing, which allows you to show ads to women in a physical or near a physical location. So you can set up a geofence around Planned Parenthood, for example, or a high school or some other place in your town and send display ads, or women in that area could see your display ads from that. Now, Google allows you to show ads to women who visited specific URLs. So let's say you are in Atlanta and you want to run display ads for women who have visited some of these different URLs where they can purchase the abortion pill online. You can send display ads to women in whatever physical area you're in. Atlanta is like very large, so you would narrow it down to close to where your center is, or different places like that, and also target them if they visited these URLs. So we have the ability to help you reach women who are actively considering making that purchase before they make the purchase. Because we know, and this is part of the online habits, we'll pull up a page, we'll get our cart all loaded up, and then maybe we're having second thoughts, or maybe we want to do a little more research, or maybe we need to check our bank account or something. We navigate away from that page, and that's your opportunity to go in and alert women to the fact that you offer free services, that there are other options that they can consider for their unplanned pregnancy, the same way that we would do display ads now. And then you can also use other forms of digital advertising on Google and social media to reach women, let them know they have options. That's a big one when it comes to the abortion pill. And with abortion in general, we know a lot of women who consider abortion and who go on to have abortions do so because they feel pressured either by circumstances or other people. And so speaking to them, letting them know you have options, you have resources, you have support is huge when they're making those decisions and really thinking about what they're going to do.
Yes. And so a little bit just to tie it back into Generation Z, what Marcy was saying about packaging earlier is so true on every form of your marketing. So whatever's in your marketing mix, you want to make sure that everything is packaged, everything appeals to the eyes of Generation Z. And so here are a few examples of some really great social media graphics that kind of paint the picture of what you're going for. You want insightful, eye-catching, and really creative content that appeals to what they're looking for. And so as you can see, like you see these colors that are solid. There's not like too much design going on, that too much busyness. You see words that are very easy to read. They're in bold typically, and this STD post is great because it's actually insightful. And these infographics, they a lot of them, they actually get a lot of shares, a lot of retweets, and because they're just easy to share, and people like to interact with things that look good and that are insightful as well. And so there are a lot of research projects out there that you can dig into, and we highly recommend that you do that. Dig into what specifically catches the eye of Gen Z, and Choose Life can definitely help you with that if you're interested. But we highly recommend that you really look at, okay, are our marketing tactics aligning with this generation, or was it more so with millennials or another generation? It's really, really important to stay up to date because everyone is so different. Marcy, I know that you've dealt firsthand with some reviews that were difficult to navigate. So what do you talk to us about reviews?
Yeah, sorry, my internet cut out for just a second. So hopefully you guys, all right, hopefully you guys can hear me. I think we're back now. So we talked earlier about word of mouth marketing and how, the abortion industry does that so well. You can do this as well. And this is one of the best ways you can do this, is by generating positive reviews of people who have been to your pregnancy center. So you don't need celebrity endorsements. People want to hear how other people in your area, what their experience was like when they visited your pregnancy center. So if you have positive client experiences that you can share, and hopefully that they will share, that's perfect. So you do need positive client reviews on Google, Facebook, and then if you want to share those throughout pages on your website, you can do that as well. The gold standard is getting people to leave reviews on your Google My Business profile as well as Facebook, so that other people can see, oh, this real person like posted this. Whereas there's always the temptation, if the only place people are seeing reviews is on your website, like, did they make this up? If they can go to your Google profile and see that, no, someone really posted this. This is because we do read reviews, like I mentioned earlier, before we book an appointment, before we choose which service provider to use, before we make a purchase. So one easy way, if you're thinking like, how am I going to generate all these reviews, is your low-hanging fruit clients that will probably be, jumping at the opportunity to help, are any of your clients who have gone through any of your parenting or other resource like classes. So once they've made that decision for life and they've stuck around with your center for a while, those are the ones that you want to ask to leave a positive review. You can ask other people as well, if you know that they had a great experience at your center. But the ones that you have built relationship with and established relationship with are ones, especially if you don't have any reviews online, those are great people to start with, to just ask, hey, can you go online? Sending them the link makes it really easy for them to do that. You can also follow up with people, with clients who have visited your center, and just ask them, hey, we would love for you to leave us a positive review about your experience on Facebook or Google. Here are the links for that. And just asking, because a lot of times, even though people like had a positive experience, it may not occur to them to leave a review. People are more in the habit of that if it's like a restaurant or something. But a lot of you'll be surprised how many people will say yes if you ask for it. So that's one thing you can do there. Another huge thing you can do to help women when they're at that decision point and to help reach them before they make that purchase of the abortion pill online is to share risks and side effects. So we talked about earlier, Gen Z values truth. Obviously, nobody in any generation likes being lied to, but this is a key characteristic of Gen Z in particular, who is going to be most of your target audience. They don't like being lied to. Once they know they've been lied to, it's really hard to rebuild that trust because they'll feel manipulated and taken advantage of. So one thing you'll notice when you visit, whether it's Planned Parenthood's website or some of these other websites specifically where women can order the abortion pill online, is that the risks and side effects are downplayed. Like Jess was showing the one website earlier that said, oh, it's safer than Tylenol. It's like, well, that paints a very different picture of most women's experience when they take the abortion pill. So one thing you can do through blogging on your website and other places on your site is to don't be afraid to post information about the abortion pill. I know there is hesitancy because sometimes donors might think, well, this seems like you're advertising or you're sharing too much information about the abortion pill. The reality of Google and the internet nowadays is women are going to find answers to their questions online. They will either find those questions from you or those answers from you, or they will find them from the abortion industry. So by having information on your website, you're not endorsing the abortion pill, especially if you're going to be writing about a lot of the risks. You're not endorsing abortion. You're just providing answers to the information women are asking. And especially as Google has kind of shifted, in the old days of Google, you had to kind of like write what you were looking for the search engine. You couldn't just write a question. You wrote this string of words and hoped Google knew what you were talking about. Google is very smart now, and a lot of women are just typing in questions. So Google does recommend answering those questions. So you can do this through writing blogs, through including copy on your website. We do recommend having a page on your site about abortion, and you could even now break that up into the abortion pill and just surgical abortion. And one thing to highlight here is really the need women have for an ultrasound before they make this decision. Most women don't know exactly how far along they are in their pregnancy. And one of the things you can highlight that comes straight from the FDA is that this really only is safe and effective to take within the first 10 weeks of pregnancy. And that's something a lot of women don't understand, especially when it's talked about like oh, you just take this pill and it takes care of the pregnancy. Well, most of them don't know it's 2 pills. And so there's a specific order and timing you have to take them in. But it also is just, again, portrayed as this easy, safe thing. And so anything you can do to alert them to the fact that they really need to understand how far along they are. They need to understand if they have an ectopic pregnancy, that the abortion pill is not going to impact that, and they do need to seek medical attention. Framing information about the pill, the abortion pill, in this way helps establish trust for the women, for you, for your center, because it establishes you as an authority on this topic, and also shows that you care about them, that you're willing to warn them about the dangers of the abortion pill, but also the dangers of ordering it online. And then one note here about social media that I just wanted to put out there is a reminder that social media really is a word of mouth accelerator for your center. So you do want to have a good mixture of what you're posting about, from general women's health to general women's interest posts to then post about your services. So you can, let women know that you provide free pregnancy testing, free ultrasounds. I have noticed, so I manage our social media team here at Choose Life Marketing, and Facebook. I'm sure we've all experienced Facebook censorship. We have noticed specifically that they tend to be paying more attention to posts about the abortion pill and abortion pill reversal. So we've seen a little bit more about abortion pill reversal, but we are starting to see some even censorship on personal Facebook pages of posts about the abortion pill. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Just in your organic posts. Again, there's ways to talk about it. Like, before you make any decision about your abortion, it's important to know how far along you are. You can lead into it that way, but just be aware before you make every post on your page about the abortion pill and ordering it online, that Facebook is paying a little bit more attention to those.
Okay, and just to wrap up before we do a little Q&A, there are messages about the benefits of abortion really everywhere. And like Marcy was saying, if a woman really wants to find information about abortion, she's able to find it. And so our goal is to help you be the people that present the information to her first. And so we aren't just fighting back against strong cultural ideas, but also the ability to easily order dangerous pills online. So as you write about the abortion pill on your website, on your social media, potentially on different ads that you put out, it's just important to keep this in mind. This is a new framework that we are fighting against. And so it may take a little bit of trial and error. It may take a little bit of, just study of what is received well. But the important thing is just to be honest about the real dangers of this new phenomenon in our world. And lastly, it's just important to remain steadfast in your resolve to reach abortion-minded women first. And don't be afraid to be creative in your marketing strategies. And CLM can help you with this. If you just feel like you're at a standstill with all of your, if you have really 4 strong marketing strategies that you've done for a long time, but maybe they're plateauing in their results, and you want to reach out and maybe do something different, we can definitely help you just find different creative avenues to reach her where she is. Okay, so now I think it's a good time to branch out and talk a little bit about, or basically answer your questions. So I see a few. Okay, so first I'm going to go into the chat, and I'm going to just read Angela Simmer's little note here. She says, I've heard before that it's good to post about the abortion pill on our blog, but our ultrasound technician has recommended not posting about the abortion pill on our website so that people against pregnancy centers can't attack us. And she's referring to exposed fake clinics, organizations like that. So she's just asking, do you have any recommendations on how to navigate this? Marcy, do you want to handle that?
Yep. Yeah. So we have heard this objection before. It kind of goes back to, and there may be some other specific reasons she's thinking about this. So a couple of things. Again, it kind of goes back to, women are going to find the answers they need online. Do you want them to find it from you, where they will hear the truth, or do you want them to find out about it from the abortion industry that is out to exploit their vulnerabilities basically and turn a profit? So our recommendation is that you do post about it. If you are in an area where, like I know this happens pretty frequently in the Northeast, where there are groups kind of watching you and watching your websites, we do recommend, and just this can be for any center anywhere, putting just a little disclaimer at the bottom of the blog, like we do not provide abortions or refer out for abortions, just so that people know up front, like you aren't an abortion clinic, you're not, women can't come to you and get their abortion or get the abortion pill. But there's nothing wrong with posting information. And we do recommend citing your sources. So the Mayo Clinic, FDA, you know, these different health organizations do list the side effects and risks. So you can link back to their sites or reference that you got the information from those sites, just so that your blog post or your page is very factual in its approach to the question. The other thing, again, I would say, specifically if you're concerned about, you know, getting attacked from these exposed fake clinic groups, is to really beef up your online positive reviews, so that as people see negative reviews, they'll see like, oh, they're far outweighed by by the positive ones, as a way to counteract that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so now moving into the Q&A section. So Annette asked, I'm rebranding our center and creating a new website. Should I not use stock photos? What is the best way to have images, because we wouldn't be able to use real images of the women in our center? That's a really good question, and I'm glad that you asked, so we can kind of clarify. So the primary red flag that rises with stock photos within the mind of Generation Z is that it doesn't feel like those people that we're seeing could be me, typically because they're ultra staged, or maybe even like sometimes we've seen some different websites that have like people that are wearing clothes that maybe in 2005, you know, people our age would wear, but they're not wearing those clothes today. And so stock photos in itself aren't inherently, you know, bad. It's just it's important to pick the stock photos that are relatable. And so a lot of times we'll try to really dig in and find the stock photos that maybe are more candid in terms of like finding just off guard, not necessarily staged or posed photos, but women just, you know, doing everyday things. Maybe they're, you know, just out hiking or you know, enjoying coffee with friends, things like that. So it's more so finding the photos that are more relatable and that people can connect with, if that makes sense. And so I'll move on to the next question. This one's from Diane. She says, how do we direct someone to post a good review on my business, not a techie? So I think she's related to GMB. And then we also have another post that's related to that from Michelle saying, we keep hearing Gen Z isn't on Facebook. So should we be pushing for reviews on Google only? And those are really good questions as well. Marcy, do you want to help with that?
Yep. So with Google My Business specifically, you can go to, if you don't know how to navigate to your Google My Business profile, if you just Google the name of your center, it should show up on the right-hand side of your Google search results. If you are a Google My Business client of ours, you can reach out to us and we can get that link for you. But once you see that over there, you'll see a section where you can click to write a review. If you click on that, that should pull up the link where you can share it with other people, and you can just send that link out. Same thing with your Facebook.
Oh, Marcy, I think we lost you.
Oh no.
Oh, okay, you're back.
Can you hear me
you're
now?
Back.
Okay. Where did you lose me?
You started talking about Facebook.
Okay, great. So regarding Facebook, it is true that Google is not on Facebook. That Gen Z isn't on Facebook as much in terms of what they are posting and creating. So they are not creators on Facebook. I would still say that they consume on Facebook, especially if you're in a more rural area. Facebook is still a more popular site, but regardless of where you are, regardless of whether Gen Z is as active on Facebook, it's still a place where people go to kind of check out a business or a nonprofit. So they may go and like, they will go to see if there are reviews there. They'll probably go to Google first, but it is still a habit that they'll go in and just check out on Facebook. So we do think it's worth having people post reviews there as well. I would say in terms of priority, Google would be first, but then Facebook is also helpful.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, like as a Gen Z myself, I will say that like a lot of my peers utilize both Facebook and Instagram as sort of a validator. So they'll first maybe Google something, but they're interested on how they, how these people interact directly with those that follow them. And so Facebook and Instagram is a really great place to make sure that you're up to date there, both with your organic content and your reviews. And it's also important to just interact with those reviews too, to make sure that you are seen as someone that cares both about the positive and negative reviews. Okay, so Wendy asked, one of my thoughts on the mail order abortion pill is the psychological effect, since this can be done in secret. Do you have marketing that might give a women info on that? That's a really, really great question. Marcy, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, that's really fascinating. I mean, the fact that this is something that can be done with complete anonymity now, that may take a toll on a woman.
Yeah, and we're starting to see that come through in our when we do Google research on what are the top queries people are typing into Google. We're starting to see that one a little bit more in general, just with abortion, but I think specifically we'll see that even more with the abortion pill. So blogging is a great place to address that. If you do have women come into your center and share that they've had an abortion or that they've struggled with that psychological impact of having done it in secret, you could develop material on that. We're happy to help you develop material on that, because it is a real phenomenon that we're experiencing that, again, is not being talked about ahead of time. And we do include that sometimes in our posts that we provide just about the abortion pill in general, is that this is a likely impact that women are going to have to deal with. And unfortunately, not a lot of research or studies have been done on this yet. But I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming out in the literature as well.
Yeah, that's good. Kathy asked two good questions. She said, do you create marketing specific plans to specific demographic areas? Or is it the mainstream in general? Thinking with what you just mentioned, where Gen Z is on Facebook, still possible in rural areas, but not so much in other areas. So to answer that one first, that's a really great question. Yes, Choose Life can do specific plans for you. We have a lot of centers that they are on Facebook only, because they know that the women in their community interact more so on Facebook than Instagram, and vice versa. And we have some clients that just do Instagram only, because we see that is more beneficial for them. And you also asked, can you pull keywords people are Googling specifically in your designated area? Can we see reports? That's a really good question. So something that we offer clients, and we can give this to you for free if you reach out to us. We can pull these keyword trackers that will actually show how many women per month are searching for abortion keywords in your area. And that's very, very helpful for a lot of centers to have that information. And typically centers can use that as sort of like a benchmark of, they want to reach, based on the number of women searching, we want to reach this percentage of the total, or we want to just set their goals based on the amount of searches in their area. And so that's really, really great question. Google does have a few different platforms that allow you to track trends. But if you reach out to us, we can help you get a few different pieces of information for that? That's a great question.
Yep. Jess, there was one that came in a little earlier. If you scroll up, I can read it and speak to this a little bit. Robert asked, what do you recommend doing immediately to counter the abortion pill and the shorter window to choosing abortion? So this is a great question, because back in the early days of pregnancy center ministry, you had a lot more time to reach women. You know, you just have more time. So this is a great question, especially when women are able to order the abortion pill online. So one of the strategies we recommend, and again, paid search doesn't always work for every area, so we'd want to sit down and do some research and make sure it works for your area. But we do recommend paid search, especially this virtual geofencing, the ability to target women in your area who have visited specific URLs, because what it does is it cuts through the first couple of layers of the marketing funnel. So awareness and seeking more information. They're already aware that the abortion pill exists. They're already like curious about it and have potentially like gone in to make a purchase. Maybe they have it sitting in their cart still. So being able to short circuit that whole process and the top of the funnel that way is a great strategy to show up for women there. Also, SEO is a more long-term, kind of long game strategy, but we do recommend investing in that so that your website does show up. In fact, when I was doing, I'm doing research all the time, but specifically when we were researching to put together this presentation, I couldn't remember the name of one of the websites. So I was like, oh, I'll just hop on Google, the websites where you can order the pill, the abortion pill. And I had to scroll a long way to see it. So those kind of 2 or 3 websites that are out there are still not showing up right away. Like once I knew the name, I Googled it and it came right up. But a lot of the top results when you search Google are articles about the abortion pill and ordering that online. So that's encouraging as you're thinking about your SEO strategy and wanting to rank your website for those keywords, to know that there's still real estate there, especially because you would only be like doing that in a geographical area. So those would be 2 things we would recommend, is making sure you're investing in the long game strategy of SEO, but then also investing in paid search, if that makes sense for your area.
Yeah, that's so good. There's another question that came in about blogging, which is obviously related to SEO. And so, Marcy, you probably have a more sophisticated and accurate answer than me on this. But Blanca asked, how do you start a blog and how often do you have to update it?
That is a great question. Yeah, so we recommend posting on your blog 1 to 2 times a month, and posting using like specific keywords as part of your title. So you don't want to just get on and blog about anything. You want to be strategic about it, especially if you're thinking about it with SEO value and trying to reach Gen Z. When it comes to how to start a blog, if your website is hosted or is built on WordPress, that's a really great, easy way to start. There should be a post function in the back end. If you need help figuring that out, or have more questions about blogging, or if it seems really overwhelming to you to start a blog, that is a service we provide and can help answer any questions you have about that. But we do recommend having, there's like a whole strategy, and we have some resources on our website about this if you want to dig in and find those. But we do recommend planning out your topics in advance so that you know what you need to write about, and you can stay on that consistent schedule of 1 to 2 times per month.
Yes, and then next she asked, how do you recommend attracting Gen Z volunteers? That's a really, really great question, and it's an important one to figure out. And so with this, we typically recommend really building relationships with universities, high schools, and churches in your area. And a lot of times, if there are maybe youth groups with some people that are really passionate about life, that's a really great way to connect with some potential Gen Z volunteers. Also, I think it's really awesome whenever pregnancy centers offer like internships for Generation Z. Internships, and specifically for people that are interested in working in this movement long term, just to be able to invest in the next generation, help them understand, this is the ins and outs of of what we do, and it's hard work, but it's fulfilling work. And the internships programs that I've seen, and I actually have some friends that have done some internships in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with a pregnancy center there. They just talked about how it was a great experience, and I think that Gen Z really loves that they feel more like they're making a difference in your center through that. So those are just a few ideas, but that's great that you're thinking about that, because it's really, really important to get them in your center and just to pick their brain, because they really have a unique perspective on what you want to do. Okay, Catherine asked, we are trying to reach the younger generation in our region versus the women we currently have coming into our center, which are mostly in their 20s and 30s. What advice do you have to offer in reaching the teens? Marcy, you want to get that one?
Yeah. So I guess part of it depends on the strategies you're already using. If you're running social ads, you can target that to specific age range and other types of ads as well, if you wanted to just focus on those. Again, I would go back and look at the look and feel of your ads and your marketing and see and ask some Gen Zers, if you know them, what does this say to you? Does this appeal to you? Is this eye-catching? So making sure that your advertising and marketing materials match the generation you're trying to reach are some ways to start there. And then also looking at, if you are running ads, making sure that you have those targeted to the right age group.
That's good. Annette asked, how do you start a geofencing campaign? Is there a specific site to use? That's a good question as well. So geofencing campaigns are managed by Google. So Google runs all geofencing campaigns, and campaigns are basically started and tracked by their platform. Choose Life has their own service to where we can set up, run, and track your geofencing campaign. And I know that we touched on virtual geofencing, which is where you can draw the virtual fence around a URL to track who in your city is going to certain websites and run ads to those same IP address. And so that's also tracked within Google. But if you're interested in that, you can definitely reach out to us, and we would love to connect with you and show you how that can help extend your reach. Kathy asked, she was just asking if there was going to be copies of this presentation. Yes, you will be able to get that after this, and we'll make sure that whoever wants that will have access to it.
Yeah, we will email that out once we're done.
Awesome. Okay, it looks like that's all the questions for now, unless there's one that rolls in the next few seconds. But it was so great talking to you all. Thank you so much for these amazing questions, and I hope that y'all got something out of it. I know that this is such a new thing, and so it's really great that we're engaging with this. Okay, we have a few more questions. We'll just run through these super quick. Okay, Blanca asked, how do you get local doctors to support when we already do pregnancy tests and ultrasounds for their patients? Marcy, do you have any insight on that?
That's a good question. I do know I have friends who run pregnancy centers in different parts of the country, and it just takes building a relationship with them, kind of sharing the heart behind what you're doing. And I think it also kind of depends on your area. One tactic may just be letting them know, like, we are an additional resource for women in your community. That's a good question, and I don't know that my answer fully answered that, but that's where I would start, is with the relationship aspect, developing that relationship, letting them know you're an additional resource, and kind of the heart behind your ministry to women in y'all's community.
That's good. Catherine Burney asked a phenomenal question. She asked, I'm entertaining the concept of pulling together a social media task force that would be primarily the younger generation. I hope that they would be a benefit to creating more attractive social media for our center. Thoughts? Amazing idea. Incredible idea. We actually have done this for some of our internal projects with CLM, and a great way to do this, just an idea for you, is to put together like a small Facebook group of Generation Z, people in your community that you have connections with. Maybe they're, sons and daughters of friends, or just connections that you have that that these people are in touch with what Generation Z likes. Throw them all in a Facebook group and then put together different polls of if they like, certain images over other images, to ask them to rate your website on a scale of 1 to 10, being totally honest, and tell them why did they, ask them to give honest feedback of why they said what they said. I will say it's kind of a weird thing, just because Generation Z is young. A lot of us feel kind of just scared to share our honest opinion because, older generations have, at least authority by age. And so we don't want to offend, we don't want to cross any boundaries, but so just be very, very intentional about saying, we want your honest feedback, because if it's not honest, it's not valuable. And that will be really, really beneficial. And I'm sure that you'll get some great information by doing that. So we definitely recommend reaching out to Generation Z in your community, putting together a little Facebook group and asking them what they think about your marketing efforts. Okay, I think that is it. It is 12 o'clock Central. Like we said, we hope that you really got something out of it, and we pray that this really bears some great fruit in your community. So thank you so much for interacting. Thanks for joining, and we hope to see you in the next webinar.